This is one of the most common ways to move back and forth between these two basic positions, the A shape and the E shape bar chords. It's actually two separate licks. In the first one, you slide up the fifth string into this little bar. You can hang out there for a while, or use the second lick to continue up the neck into this basic E shape position. I've got examples from 7 different songs, slowed down, up close. I think I finally discovered the secret to that intro lick in Blue Sky. Haven't seen this anywhere else on YouTube. I've got a lot more licks like this in my free web app, The Building Blocks of Rock, at guitarviz.com. And of course, if you like what you see here, please remember to like or subscribe. These licks are movable, but you can also use this non-movable version in A. It uses an open 5th string, and you move between the open A chord and the barred A chord position up here at the 5th fret, like in these examples. We're at the end of the song. In the outro solo, you hear the rhythm guitar doing this. The first few bars of the solo are this lick. We're in A major pentatonic. Slide up the 5th string. Now we're ready to slide up to the next position along the 3rd string using the 2nd finger. Could use the 3rd finger, but it's not as common. More common to use the 2nd finger for the slide, because then your 1st finger's in position for other licks, like we'll see in some of these examples coming up. The first solo in Crossroads is another example of this lick, in mixing major and minor pentatonic in the same solo, sometimes even in the same bar. Again, we're coming off of this A major pentatonic scale. Starts with this lick. Common bend here in this position, just like it is in minor pentatonic. After that lick, here comes the slide up to the next position. Again, you want to slide up with your 2nd finger, because now your 1st finger is in position to do additional common licks. Major pentatonic in this example, right here. But ending with minor pentatonic, those last few notes. Black Dog and Crossroads were both coming off that open A chord, but you can use these licks in any major key if you know how to move those 2 basic bar chord shapes around the neck. These next few examples are in E and cover the area between the 7th fret and the 12th fret. This is the first lick in the solo. The song's in the key of E on the 5th string, and E is here at the 7th fret. That's where the bar chord is, and that's where this lick starts. Slide up the 5th string, and on the 3rd string at the 9th fret, we've changed positions. We've gone from this A-shaped bar chord at the 7th fret, where the 1st finger's at the 7th fret, to this G shape, where the 1st finger's at the 9th fret, barring. Now we can play chords like this, or riffs like this. Major pentatonic scale shape, and licks like this. Or this one a few bars later. By the way, on that first lick, notice how he goes down a fret. Why? Well, it's because the chord changed underneath him. He's gone from an E chord to a G sharp chord. That note's in a G sharp chord. Think of the C shape. That's a G sharp chord. There's our note. In my app, riffs and licks in this position are all filed under the G tab, along with that basic major pentatonic scale shape. In Santeria, he stays there in that G-shaped position, but in these next few examples, we'll use that second lick to continue moving up the neck, sliding up the third string into this basic E-shaped position. The intro and outro licks of Blue Sky are a good example of this. I'll start with the simplified version, the way most YouTube channels show it, before moving on to the actual way I think it's played. We're in the key of E, here at the 7th fret. Start on the 5th string, slide up. But this time, instead of stopping at the 3rd string, continue up the 3rd string. Slide up. 2nd finger. Then your 1st finger falls into position naturally here at the 12th fret for this basic E shape, where you can play licks like this, or continue back down as he does. Notice how he skips the low note on the 2nd string when he does this. A little lick, and repeat. If you listen carefully to that intro lick in Blue Sky, there's something different about that high note. Sounds like he's almost sliding into it. Thing is, why would he jump over a string and down 5 frets just to slide into a note? Here's what I think Dickie Batts was actually playing. At the end of the lick, the very high note, instead of trying to slide into it, bend into it. Like this. The secret is to, when you slide up the 3rd string and you're here on the 2nd string, instead of using the 3rd finger for this upper note, like you normally would, use the 2nd finger. And then your 3rd finger's in position for this bend. 2nd finger. Then use the 1st finger to slide down, where you can either continue all the way down or go to this note, 4th string, 14th fret, and then move back down here for the lick. 4. At the end of the video in the lesson section, I'll show those Blue Sky licks slowed down and up close. I'll also show the several chords that follow those licks. They're interesting shapes, partial bars. Blue Sky is good practice for moving up the neck using those 2 licks. Not as good practice for moving down the neck. It's missing one of the notes in the lick. Also issues with how Dickie Batts was actually playing it. But this example from Melissa is good practice for moving down the neck from the E shape back down to the A shape. It's the lick after the 2nd verse, but before the bridge. And by the way, you can fake those open E chords. The guitar is actually in open E tuning, but you can fake those 2 chords using this shape, as I'm doing here. Over this chord, he plays this lick. Same thing, we're in the key of E, but this time instead of starting here where the A shape chord is, 5th string root, we're up here at the 12th fret where the E shape chord is. Going down those 2 licks, playing the notes in groups of 3. Repeat that last note and slide down the 3rd string. Next group of 3. And last group, sliding down the 5th string. 3, 4. This part of the intro to Rude Mood by Stevie Ray Vaughan is also good practice for using these two licks. This is basically running down the top part of a major pentatonic scale, adding a note in on the third string, similar to what you might do in the minor pentatonic. And then sliding up and down the third string. I know we talked before about usually using the middle finger for this, especially when you need the first finger up here, but if you don't need the first finger, it's just as easy to use the third finger, especially when you're playing fast like he is. And this is how he's fingering it. Watch close-up video of him. Hang out down here for a bit. Slide down the fifth string, hitting this note. These two notes are also in the major pentatonic scale. These licks are based off the major pentatonic scale, so if you try to use them in a minor key, it might not sound good. But remember, in rock and blues, there's sometimes a blurry line between major and minor. Like in Black Dog, the main riff of the song is A minor pentatonic. So you might think, well, I can't use this lick. But in the outro section of the song where Jimmy Page is using the lick, listen to the rhythm guitar. Underneath, it's riffing off of an A major chord. So it works. Bottom line, try it. Try using the lick in different situations. Your ear will tell you if it sounds good or not. And try using these licks in different keys too, over different chords. For example, if you're in B, the A shape's here at the 2nd fret, E shape at the 7th fret, you can go back and forth between the two areas using these two licks. And if you're still a bit confused about this G shape that lives in between the A and the E shapes, be sure to check out my other video where I talk more about this area, using Sweet Home Alabama and Listen to the Music as examples. Okay, next up in the lessons segment, I'll play most of these examples slowed down and up close to help you learn them. If you don't want to continue on, thanks for watching. Please remember to hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Played slowly. 3, 4. 3, 4. Notice that when you do the bend, the note, you're going directly from this note. A lot more efficient to use your middle finger for that note on the 4th string, instead of trying to shift your 3rd finger over real quick. 3, 4. Played slowly. 3, 4. End with these chords. Looks like this, played slowly.